So, I've been putting this one off, making this one, because it's really painful for me. Today I had my occasional lover, I don't know what else to call him, text me today. We don't contact each other really frequently. I mean, he's really busy. I'm busy. And, a couple months there, I was completely involved with Kane. I did tell him about my friend, and actually had hoped that they would be able to meet at some point, that my friend would be able to come up and hang out with us, because they're very much, they have a lot in common. Not really the same kind of personality types, but they have a lot of interests in common, and I felt, and my friend is an extremely cool person, and I felt like they would get along great, and we would have a good time just hanging out and smoking and, talking, watching stuff, whatever. Anyway, he texted me today for the first time in probably a couple of months, and I immediately started crying a little bit. Not a big sob, boo-hoo kind of thing, but just, I cried a little quietly. I was out at Mom's at the time, but it was about time to go anyway. So I just said bye and got in the car and cried a little more on the way home. So that's how things are for me right now. Like, I've and you may have to excuse a little bit of crying in this video, because this is painful. Well, I need to start at the beginning. So the last time I heard from Kane was August 11th, or the last time I saw him, I should say, was August 11th. After he came up here after work, but we only hung out for maybe an hour. And things have been very well, it felt like things were going backwards, and that there was distance growing between us. And I couldn't figure out what to do or say, but I was thinking about it constantly, and I still loved him and wanted to be with him, but it felt imbalanced to me, and it felt like it was fading, and I could feel the distance growing on both sides. So I purposely sent enough weed with him that night that he wouldn't have any need to get any more from me for, probably more than a week. I guess I kind of, in a way, I wanted to test and see how much he was coming to actually spend time with me or just for his meds. Well, he said something when he left that night about maybe coming up Wednesday evening after he got off work. And we had texted a little bit, but just not very much. I mean, there was no enthusiasm anymore in talking to each other, and even I was just frustrated by the way that things were going and not being able to have what I wanted with him, and confusion over why things had been so incredible the first few weeks, and then and why things were so different now. I wanted to get those first few weeks back, but didn't know how. Kept analyzing everything that I had said and done, and it probably was all me. I keep vacillating between, was I just foolish and impatient and just should have kept my mouth shut at times. Sometimes I'm convinced that that's the whole truth, and other times I think that, I have to be able to be true to myself. I have to be able to communicate. Any partnership, the partners need to be able to communicate. And knowing that there was something wrong, and regardless of what the cause was, that there was something wrong. Just being frustrated, and so I wasn't going out of my way to communicate with him either. And Wednesday night I texted him and I was like, well, I'm going to go to bed early because I had an interview the next morning, because really, it would have been so late when he came up. I was tired. I'd been working non-stop between both jobs. And I wasn't, I just, to be honest, I felt like it wasn't worth me losing sleep to have just a pleasant little hangout session, no, because I just already assumed I wouldn't be getting any kind of adrenaline boost from him, because like I said, things were fading. Felt like it was all going downhill. He was still sweet, but not as affectionate, and the intimacy was gone. So, intimacy is it's one of those things that tends to grow the relationship. So when it's gone, it's just different and distant, I tried to explain that to him, but, well, maybe I didn't. I didn't explain it well. I didn't get my point across. And I'll probably think about some of the things that he said to me about that part of the relationship for quite some time. So, Thursday night, we hadn't even talked about when we were going to see each other again. We had texted a few times Thursday night, and I had, in the midst of working nonstop, I had to mow the front yard that night, and I was just done. Everything was frustrating me. I was tired and just done, and I messaged him something despondent, and he messaged me back that, things would turn around and not to give up, and that I was too awesome. And I didn't text him back after that. That was August 15th, and that's the last that I've heard from him, period. I didn't know anything was wrong for sure for a couple of days, and then I started wondering, since I hadn't heard from him at all, but I didn't try to text him because I was still just frustrated and irritated, and I was working. I had to work all weekend. So, because I had a 3-week period there where I was working pretty much every day between the two jobs. I think this was the beginning of it. And so then a day or two after that, I noticed that he had unfriended me on Facebook. Well, that was pretty much a slap in the face, because I knew that meant that he was angry or something. He was done, And I broke down, and I messaged him. I texted him. And I tried on Messenger. Because it just kind of at that point, it hit me like a ton of bricks. He wasn't talking to me anymore, that he had ghosted me. Because that's what he's done. He has ghosted me. So, then a few days after that, I noticed that he had either deleted or deactivated his Facebook account. So that was like another slap in the face, like him basically telling me, you can't even contact me, because, yeah, I've texted him, but for all I know, he's already gone and changed his number, And so, that hurt. I can't say it's super surprising, because he made the statement himself once that he was the king of the silent treatment, but it really makes me question the depth of what he felt for me. I mean, I guess I need to just be realistic and realize that he enjoyed my company, at least for a while. Mm-hmm. And he liked me, was attracted to me in some kind of way, at least at first. But he didn't feel any real depth of feeling. Not anything like I did, or he wouldn't just completely ghost me. He would at least try to be friends. He would try to talk to me. If he, if he wanted to try to work it out, he would have tried to talk to me. But he hasn't even, he just basically said, I don't want to communicate with you at all. So, even when I had to stop talking to my ex-best friend last year, I at least had the courtesy to tell him, look, I'm sorry, this is too painful, and I just can't get past it right now. You know, but Cain didn't even, he purposely ghosted me to hurt me, which also shows that he didn't have much depth of feeling. So, you know, he did it to hurt me and get some kind of petty revenge. And also because I didn't mean enough to him for him to care. He just wrote me off like I meant nothing to him. Or I was no more than an irritant. So, I am, since, you know, I realized how final it was, I've been in this strange state of mind. Extremely emotional, but somehow extremely logical. I guess it flip-flops back and forth, but it's also somewhat concurrent. You know, I can't help being analytical, so I'm constantly analyzing